All right, guys, this is so funny because every time I go to hit the play, an alarm goes off. You can hear one now. There was another vehicle backing up, and then there was an alarm. Someone's car alarm went off. And, it's like, dang, okay, I guess I really need to make this video. But, so anyway, what? And now, of course, out of all the spaces, someone's gonna park right next to me. I swear this happens to me all the time. I can park in a lot where there like nobody is, and then people will start parking near me. So I don't know if you guys probably have that same magic. Anyway, one of the things that is on my heart today that the divine put on my heart is about empaths. It's kind of, I don't know if it's an overused word, but it's a real thing, right? Many of us are very empathic. We feel what other people feel. We can read people. We read energy, and it can be a learned thing, but many of us do it naturally. And over the past few years, I've listened to so many people talk about how, basically associating this skill and this talent and our ability, which everybody has. It's just whether you choose to tap into it or not. But so many people have put negative connotations with it, as if, it's weak people, it's trauma that causes you to be empathetic because it is a survival mechanism. And yeah, to some degree it is a survival mechanism, but there are also people who go through trauma who harden their hearts, who harden their senses, who don't care, who have taught themselves not to care about things, about anything that's not themselves. And many people respond to trauma differently. So to hear people teach you or tell you that your abilities to read energy is because you were traumatized is not true. You are able to read energy because you have chosen to allow yourself to stay in that sensitivity. And sometimes, sometimes it's not even a choice. I believe that there are a lot of people who are probably in therapy or mental institutions or stuff or things like that who are just people who didn't understand that they are feeling other people's energy, and because of that they have felt like they are crazy or they have had a hard time. It's only been in the recent past, I guess with the dawn of the internet, that groups and information are out there where people have talked about their spirituality and their the gifts that come with that, not religion, but spirituality, your connection to nature, your connection to the divine, your connection to the earth, to Mother Earth, your connection to animals and energies, whether it be the energy from plants or whatever. But anyway, you are not weak for feeling. You are not weak for caring. You are not weak for reading people. And I think it's really opposite, that it takes a lot of strength to care, to choose to care, to choose to feel, to choose to allow your heart to break, to give, even though those people will continue to break your heart, to forgive people who have done you wrong, and then to allow yourself to be in a situation where other people could choose to treat your heart wrong as well. And I'm not saying to live life without boundaries, because we need boundaries. And I think sometimes people who are empathetic, that is a downfall of that, is learning boundaries. And some of it comes from because we don't realize that a lot of the stuff we feel is not ours. Sometimes it takes time even when you understand that you pick up other people's feelings, it still takes time to realize like where the boundaries of you, who you are. And sometimes, because I think empathetic people can have such a big aura, such a big energy around them, the feelers go out so far that it does take a while to be able to understand that, wait a minute, that is not me. You know, that energy is not me. You walk into a room and you feel stuff going on, and you go, that's not me. You know, for instance, I was married to someone, and would get home and, you know, all day I'd be having these happy feelings, you know, like, oh, I can't wait to see him, though. And you come home with such a dark cloud that he'd walk in the door and this cloud would come over me. And for like years, I didn't understand why. You know, it's like, oh my gosh, I had like, and it wasn't every day, but it was frequently. And I would just think like, oh my gosh, like I had all these plans and I wanted to talk about this or that, and he'd come home and my response would be totally different. And it took years for me to figure out that cloud that I was feeling was his cloud when he came home. And so it does take discernment. It does take knowing ourselves to be able to have boundaries and to have expectations for what we will accept for people. But within that, it still is strength to be able to love people, to love the unlovable. I can remember situations where, you know, with a family member who was really combative with me, and you know, and after I studied, you know, because when I was younger, I studied the Bible and stuff like that. Was very very involved spiritually in a religion. And but you know, all I could think about, like, my goal wasn't to change her. I changed. And so as I changed, I just focused on myself changing and her. And she stayed combative, that relative, for a while. But after a while, she changed. And she changed because I had boundaries of how I was going to respond to her and how I was going to let her affect me. And I still loved her, and I still gave, and I still spoke to her, but I didn't allow her energy any longer to influence mine. I didn't let her negativity change me and who I was and how I was feeling. So that said, you know, being an empath, there is a lot to learn, but know that you are strong, that you are powerful, and that strength and power does not come from being loud. Strength and power does not come from being obnoxious and bossy and valuing your opinion over other people's opinions and putting on this bravado, which is very accepted in leadership today. But that is not strength. That is not power. That is not true leadership. The empath innately has that within them, the ability to lead by example, to lead with love, to lead because you feel, because you know, because you can feel people's hearts and their pain and their love and their joy, and you can relate to that, and you can relate to people. And part of, I believe, many empaths, there is the dark side, but for many empaths, it's because you love people so much that you continually give your heart. It's not because you are a people pleaser, although there are people who are people pleasers who don't have character and who don't have opinions. And there's a difference between not caring about what you do. You know, people are like, hey, what do you want to do? It's like, I don't care. What do you want to do? Let's do what you want to do. There's a difference between that and between being weak-willed and knowing you want to do something, but you're just going to do what everybody else does. There's a difference between that. There's a difference between like, hey, you know what my joy in this situation is? It's just hanging out with you. So we're going to hang out together, whatever you want to do. There's a difference between that and between just not having character, not knowing yourself, not identifying with your own desires. So I feel like I'm kind of rambling, but I think what the Spirit really put on my heart is to know that you are strong, that your gifts are valid, that they do not come from weakness, but they are your strength, and that to not allow anybody to tell you that you are traumatized, because to some degree, because we're human and we are on this 3D plane, we all have traumas. We all have had situations that happen in our lives that scar us. And sometimes, a lot of times when we embrace those scars, that it helps make us beautiful. It helps make us unique. When we embrace those things, they're not things to be ashamed of, but they are badges of honor because we have lived and we have loved and we have transformed. So I just want to encourage you, be you, love, give, but you can lovingly say no. You can lovingly give your opinion. You can lovingly stand up for what is right, because you know innately what is right. You feel it. You feel what situations, how things are going to impact other people. You can speak up, and I was going to say, so I'll just say it. The thing about a lot of empaths is that you tend to be people who may be quieter, who may be more gentle. And that gentleness has a power because a lot of times people don't react so offended, when truth is spoken softly, gently. I'm not saying you always need to do that. 12:12, so that was confirmation. To speak your truth gently, to speak your truth in your own voice, but to speak it. You don't need to be loud or embarrass people, but now's a time in our current history where we need people to speak up for what is right in every situation, small situations and conversations, and just day-to-day things, just to calmly, gently, without judgment. We don't need to come across judgy like I'm right and I know this, and I'm not saying that. I'm just saying, like, speak up for what's right. If someone in a meeting was rude, you can easily say, hey Joe, you having a hard day because you were a little edgy in there today. That's it. But I think we've gone so long in our society without people speaking up for what is good and what is right in just small ways that it's cataclysmic or cataclysmic. The energy is just all over the place, and the loudest voices most of the time are not the voices that benefit everybody. They are not the voices of love, of unity, of truth, and empowerment. And but this is your world, and the divine wants you to know that you matter and that your words have power, and that your softness, your gentleness, your empathy is a true power. So speak it, stand strong, shine bright. And I guess that's it. That's all I have to say today. That's all the divine wants to say to you, is that you are special, that you are loved, that you are powerful, that you that what you feel is true, what you know is true. And it's okay to speak up. It's okay to do it. It's okay to do it quietly. It's okay if you sometimes want to be a little loud about it. It's okay. And it's needed. And you're needed. And your spirit is needed. Your skills are needed. Your gifts are needed. Your magic is needed in this world. 14:44 on the timer. Right? That is divine protection, strength, solid foundation. You are needed in this world to help make it solid. We are energetically going through a transition, right, to the age of Aquarius, the time of the rights of all people being respected, the land, the energy of the divine, all being respected, and away from an age of where we have a few people who matter, you know, corporations that matter over people, billionaires that matter over the people. We are in the midst of that transition of change, and we need every voice to help usher it in. We need voices of reason, we need voices of love, we need voices of power, and together we are stronger. And your voice is a voice that is needed. So 15555, that is change, divine change, and you are needed for that change. So again, we're just talking about empaths. Don't let anyone make you believe that your empathy comes from weakness. Your empathy is a strength. Your empathy is a power, and you are needed and you are loved. And so, love you guys.